One of the two regional prime ministers who died was the Sardona of Sokoto from the mighty north. And a contributory cause of the rising was his intention to use the army not to crush corruption, but to crush protests against it. He chose a moment when the federal Prime Minister Balewa was busy with his Commonwealth Prime Ministers Conference last week at the Federal Palace Hotel in Lagos. In the small hours of last Saturday morning, at the Ikoyi Hotel in Lagos, a colonel sent by the Sardona was shot in his hotel bedroom. The coup was on. Prime Minister Balewa was taken before dawn from his house beside the lagoon. Army officers took his finance minister from a nearby house, Fetus Okotie Eboh, who once increased the duty on imported shoes to protect his own shoe factories. The Lagos Museum was briefly the headquarters of the revolt. Already, as it turns out, it was more than a revolt. It was an organized takeover. Word went to Ibadan, capital of the western region, where the regional Prime Minister Akintola was shot with his wife in another bedroom fight. Kaduna, the northern capital, fell into the hands of a Major Nzegbu who seemed to be a rebel. But when the army chiefs discarded the fiction that they were simply protecting the existing government, he was received into the fold. In Lagos, from all one gathers, the coup is cheerfully accepted, and the Sardona and Akintola are unlamented. Even Balewa's departure from office is likely to be more wept in London than in Lagos. As early as Sunday, the day after the coup, people pursued their ordinary diversions as if they still lived under one of the most stable governments in Africa. No one seemed distressed or puzzled. Perhaps they were right not to be. Perhaps it's all very simple. Gabriel Fagbori, a Lagos journalist, gave me his view of the takeover's real causes.
From my own point of view, corruption, nepotism on the part of politicians of all parties, and the danger of internal strife in Nigeria swept the army into power. Some of these soldiers, I believe, are much more intelligent and much more patriotic than the politicians, whom we all condemn.
But there has been a wave of this in West Africa in particular, Central African Republic, Dahomey, the Congo, all kinds of places. Why is this?
This is not peculiar to West Africa. You have them in South Africa, in South America too. I mean, there had been coup in Asia, in Sudan, and also in Pakistan and Middle East.
No special reason then here in Africa?
Well, I can see no special reason, but there is something I say in this. Young elements in Africa are in a hurry as much as the continent. Most of these African countries are being ruled by men who belong to the old brigade, who are corrupt and who accept nepotism, corruption, injustice, greed, avarice as virtues. And some of us, I'm not a member of the army, mind you, but some progressive elements believe that this is not the age for corruption. People who go into public life must be prepared to serve for the glory of service.
What difference will it make if Balewa is found alive?
I would very much wish that he's found alive, very much so. But there is no doubt that his weakness in controlling his ministers is partially responsible for the present situation. I mean, take the Western region situation, for example. His government refused to act, even though people are being killed daily and life and property are becoming unsafe. He refused to act.
So you wouldn't expect people to want him to get his old job back?
I wouldn't want him to get it back. And I know millions of Nigerians wouldn't. Because we want Nigeria to stay united, prosperous, and great.
Now General J.T.U is setting up his cabinet of soldiers and civil servants, perhaps even feeling his way in foreign affairs. The big question still unanswered, of course, is whether there's anyone behind J.T.U. Does he call the shots, or do we look for another?